Welcome back to my channel, brothers and sisters. I'm your host, MODISE The High King. If you're new to my channel, consider smashing the subscribe button, the like button. Let the algorithm know what's good. Let me know what's good. Let other like-minded souls know that I'm out here. Melanated gods of earth. If you don't know, we are at war. For the past 400 years, and some would say 1,000 depending on how you look at history, between the Arabs and the Europeans, the African black man and woman has been going through nothing but a holocaust. Death, through slavery, colonial genocide, post-colonial genocide, and medical apartheid, including efforts to lower our birth rates and population. It has always been the Western agenda, beginning with the mother and father of evil themselves, Bill and Melinda Gates, these two fiends from the pits of hell and Europe, Caucasus Mountains, these non-melanated mutations, these aliens, these, I don't know what to call them, have been promoting depopulation agendas in every way they know how. Now, between Western countries having decided to take up the foreign policy of lowering African birth rates and depopulation, through genocidal wars, supporting coups and anything that can cause death, disease, as well as promoting contraception and abortion in countries that have no business engaging in those things. Not to say women fertility is not the way to go. Absolutely, society should focus on women's health and rights and so forth. But to promote anti-life as a way of salvation is evil. But don't take my word for it. Let us begin with a recent story. If you know of Sister Wongale Zalalem, she dropped a gemstone on TikTok. If you have TikTok, by the way, make sure you're heading over there, smash the follow. Let us begin.
The solution for climate crisis is having less Africans in this world, according to Finland's minister. Vehelem Junilia, who is Finland's Minister for Economic Affairs, said the solution for the climate crisis is to give more abortion to African women. He said it would be justified for Finland to shoulder its responsibility by promoting climate abortions. Climate abortion would be a small step for a person, but a giant leap for humanity. After what he said went viral and created controversy, he resigned. Mind you, he didn't get fired, but he resigned himself. That tells you that his party didn't see anything wrong with what he said. But he said he didn't want to stain the name of his country, so that's why he's quitting. As if Finland has been such a great nation towards Africans. Do you remember just last week I talked about how Finland was threatening African countries and telling us that they are going to put us under surveillance because we wanted to exercise our rights? These are the same people. This man is disgusting and I don't even have words for it. Fam, I need you to understand what this agenda is and I need you to pay attention, and also I need you to connect with everything that is going on with the eugenics talks, with Macron telling us that African women start using contraception, with abortion clinics opening up left and right. I need you, especially African women, to understand that you have to be the one to decide when to have a baby, when to not have a baby. And the unfortunate thing about contraception is I've covered a story from South Africa when women are going to clinics trying to get contraception methods where like it's gonna be like 3 years until you're ready to have a baby. So you take that treatment, and then once they're ready for a baby, they never can have it because they didn't give them the right treatment, but they actually sterilized them. There are so many stories in Africa, so make sure that you choose the right doctor, you do your research before you accept any kind of medication, treatment, and take care of yourself, fam. And finally, I want to say this. I know the Western world is horrified by the fact that our population keeps growing every year, and I want to promise them it is going to continue to grow, and we're going to populate the earth and fill it up.
That's right. Sister Wangel. Now let us get some clarity on that note before we dive into the deeper implications of what all of that means.
Shifting focus now, Finland's Minister for Economic Affairs has resigned just 10 days after taking office, after being accused of making multiple extremist comments relating to neo-Nazi ideology. He quit.
Neo-Nazi ideology. That's what the people who reprimanded this man consider his actions and his tones, and anyone who follows in those footsteps. As Sister Wangel said, eugenics, right? The effort to control the fertility of peoples you deem savage. And white supremacy has done nothing but control African people's fertility for the past 400 years.
Amid a new scandal over his remarks on African women. Now, Junila, Finland's economy minister, resigned on Friday after facing scrutiny over his previous remarks. He is a member of the Finns Party, which is a part of the right-wing coalition that took office on the 20th of June. During his election campaign, Junila had congratulated a fellow party member on his candidate number, a choice of words saying...
All right, there's some Nazi stuff.
But later, more material from Junila's past emerged, such as his statement in Parliament in 2019, where he said that the solution for the climate crisis is to give more abortions to African women. He suggested that Finland should promote what he called climate abortions in African countries. Commenting on the resignation, the Finnish Prime Minister, Orpo...
Now, for crying out loud, what business is it of you? Like, you don't see Africans running to Europe and America telling white people how many babies they should have or shouldn't have. You don't see African people complaining about white people having too many babies or the need to promote contraception and abortion in white communities. White people are the ones who are running around setting up NGOs. Like, why? Now, with that in mind, that this man's actions have been considered neo-Nazi, right? And basically genocidal. Keep that in mind. Yeah? As you listen to this. Hold up.
When did this dawn on you that this contraception was it?
Yeah, probably.
Listen to the devil's words herself.
I had been out traveling, so I travel a lot for the foundation to Southeast Asia, all these different countries in Africa, and
Why the fuck is she coming here? Can they not stay in Europe? Can they not stay in America? What business is it of white people how many babies African people and brown people are having?
would often be out to talk to women about vaccines, women and men, about the difference of vaccines in their children's lives. But when I stayed long enough to have a real conversation in the village, women started bringing up to me over and over about contraceptives, and I was surprised.
Listen to the bullshit. Listen to the lies.
They, A, knew so much about them, and B, they were outraged. I mean, angry at me for good reason. They'd say, that clinic right there, you can see it. I can get a child vaccine there, my child's vaccine. I cannot get my contraceptives anymore. And so I just kept going to all these places in the world, and then this line.
Like, you have something in the West, that's fine. Do it in the West. Why are you going to be surprised to not find what you're looking for in other countries? And when we tell you outright that we don't want contraception or abortion, we want investment in education and infrastructure, water, electricity. You want to come at us with abortion and contraception and other non-procreative policies.
And so it was probably in about 2009, 2010, it just really dawned on me.
Which is beautiful because their birth rates have been over for about that long. And if we as Africans have only been under this push to promote contraception for this short period, it means they haven't really made that much effort, which means not that much damage has been done. Our population keeps growing, and you know that's why they're freaking out.
We have got to figure this out.
Yeah.
It turns out,
What'd she say?
really dawned on me.
That's
We
recent,
have got
actually.
to figure this out.
Yeah.
It turns out there are 220 million women telling us they want access to contraceptives, the basic
Liar.
tools we use here in the United States. And we don't deliver those to those women. That's a crime.
Giving a woman the simple opportunity to decide for herself when to become a mother is an easy and effective way of letting her determine her own future. And it's much more than that. Information about and access to contraceptives would save the lives of 100,000 mothers and prevent 600,000 children from dying every year. Deciding when to become a mother allows girls to stay in school and women to work. Family planning programs boost education and the economy, giving developing countries the resources to help themselves. It's a health initiative that makes financial sense. Every $1 that we invest in family planning could save $6 that we'd spend on housing, healthcare, and public services. There are more than 200 million women who don't.
Now, you know it's rubbish if you keep hearing the same narrative and numbers being regurgitated in different advertisements.
Want
200 and
public
something million?
services. There are more than 200 million women who don't want to get pregnant but lack access to contraceptives.
What type of insanity do you have to be living in to believe that to be true? What persons anywhere does not want to have children and are desperate for contraception? Only in Western countries.
As a result, 75 million women will have an unplanned pregnancy. They want change for themselves and for their children, but they can't do it all by themselves. Women in Kenya, Malawi, and India want this power. They've told me over and over, woman to woman, just like every mother, they want the very best for their children. And that means they need to be able to plan for them. Every woman should be empowered and have the right to determine when she wants to have a child. The right to own her future and provide for her children's futures. The right to participate freely and equally in society.
Now they have conflated multiple things. Why is having less children conflated with freedom to do more in education and work? Why is the workplace and education setting made simpler for people who are able to get pregnant and expecting children? If women are expecting to go to school, surely the education system should not punish her for wanting to be a mother in that time. That is not the same thing as saying having fewer babies will mean you get to go to school. "12 years ago.
What have you learned about family planning on this trip?
Well, family planning is just absolutely critically important, and the women, when you talk to them, they're so articulate about what they would like to have for family planning and the incredible stockouts that they experience when they come to a health facility like this. When you think about 200 million women that would like to have access to some sort of family planning tool, and they don't. And then you hear about the ramifications for their family because they want to plan, they want to educate their children. So we really got to be able to integrate family planning into all the other health services so it's very easy for women to access.
All of this being considered by these Western countries who have criticized them for trying to lower African birth rates. Keep that in mind, yeah? And then listen to this.
In sub-Saharan Africa, women are at a high risk of dying from giving birth or of experiencing severe complications. Throughout history and around the world, as income has increased, the fertility rate, the total number of children.
The pattern emerges that when white people want to interfere in something, they make up a narrative to justify what they do next. if they want to sell you contraception and abortion and family planning, they do so on the principle that you having multiple babies by your cultural beliefs and spiritual beliefs is too much and too many, and it has to be stopped. It's wrong as they see it. And the fact that you don't know about contraception, they feel like they have to come and teach you about it. The fact that you, like, it's not the same thing as teaching people medical technology that will allow them to survive fertility. But to say that to abort and contracept your fertility is a way to keep you healthy and alive and educated is genocidal. It's a lie. It's a trick. Because then you just end up childless and alone.
Per woman has tended to decrease. This has not been happening as fast as... In sub-Saharan Africa, women are at a high risk of dying from giving birth or of experiencing severe complications. Throughout history and around the world, as income has increased, the fertility rate, the total number of children per woman, has tended to decrease. This has not been happening as fast as expected in sub-Saharan Africa, where the total fertility rate remains very high and hasn't been declining as fast as expected. In Zambia, which is the context of our study, fertility rates are high. Even in urban areas, which is where we're working, we'll see 4 children being born to each woman. We tend to see in the data that women want to have fewer children and they are happy to use contraceptives. Their husbands are...
You see, they conflate narratives and they make up facts. For people to celebrate large families and to recognize an economic struggle of having large families is not the same thing as making it easier for people to maintain large families. They don't need to contracept themselves. Wanting contraception is a Western cultural belief. They believe in that stuff over there.
Are less open to using contraceptives and continue wanting large family sizes. Our question is, what are the causes and the consequences of the fact that men want more children than women do throughout sub-Saharan Africa?
I mean, what business is it of yours to come to Africa and engage in our fertility? You would think it'd be black people and nurses in clinics who are the ones who are saying, no, really, this is our conversation. But no, this woman has to come from, it sounds like Italy and Rome, to come and smile like a crazy scientist.
In our study, we explore one...
Why are they studying our fertility?
Hypothesis, which is that women are a lot more aware of the risk of dying or experiencing severe complications when they give birth. We document that men are less aware of these risks. We have designed an intervention to provide information to different members of the household, in some cases to husbands, in other cases to wives. And we compare the subsequent behavior of these families to that of households in a control group that do not receive any maternal mortality information.
I mean, just casually running experiments on African men and women, different families.
We find that 1 year after, households that receive information are almost half as likely to have had another child compared to households that did not. And the effect is driven by households where the husband is receiving this information.
Like, just stay out of our business. We as men can learn as much as our women can learn. But let us as Africans learn on our own terms, do our own thing. It should not be a European's business to come here and interfere. I'm so glad their birth rates are collapsing to extinction, because this is just nonsense. We don't have to deal with them for that long.
Our takeaway is that providing information about the risks of childbearing, particularly to men, can help to reduce fertility in sub-Saharan Africa.
Just evil. Evil. But there was a comeback. This comeback was powerful and I love it.
Women who had actually been experiencing these side effects that they had never heard of before. No one ever told them, but someone from a Western organization, one of these Western organizations in Africa, came and put IUDs into them and told them this is what you need to come out of poverty. That is not what African women need. That is not the single indicator to come out of poverty. What Africans need is education.
They do indeed.
See?
It's about education as well, so that they understand their basic human rights. It's not just about the West coming and imposing something.
These are colonial thoughts, so you better be careful expressing them. According to whom?
So between the British, the guy from the whatever country that was, wanting to promote climate abortion, and this black woman, this black queen, this goddess mother. Let me rewind that just so you know, because it sounds just juicy.
Experiencing these side effects that they had.
Effect is driven by
powerful.
Where the husband is receiving this information. Our takeaway is that providing information.
I want to listen to you, devil. Devil.
Consoling women who had actually been experiencing these side effects that they had never heard of before. No one ever told them, but someone from a Western organization, one of these Western organizations in Africa, came and put IUDs into them and told them this is what you need to come out of poverty. That is not what African women need. That is not the single indicator to come out of poverty. What Africans need is education.
They do indeed. It's about education as well, so that they understand their basic human rights. It's not just about the West coming and imposing something.
These are colonial thoughts, so you better be careful expressing them. According to whom? So there are Africans who don't have access to education. What children are looking for is a way to get into school. Someone like myself, I was born in Africa, I was raised in Africa. My lifeline out of poverty was education. It was not contraception. And there are so many other women who have walked the same path as I have without ever having to take recourse to some contraception provided by the British government or the United States government.
So you're you're then also generalizing, speaking on behalf of every woman on the continent, saying that the majority of them.
So are you? You're talking about a general solution when Africa is actually not a monolithic
all I'm
society.
saying is that they should have the right to have access to.
Like, how do they decide this? The Melinda Gates and these Western women, how do they decide unilaterally that something is human rights and it should go to countries where it's not recognized and impose it there? She believes thoroughly that women everywhere should be contracepted rather than supported.
Well, they do. We have contraception in Africa. As a matter of fact, a lot of the aid money is being actually redirected to provision of things like contraception.
Well, when the United Nations says that more than 200 million women don't have access to it,
that number again and again and again. That's like how many African babies not born. Think about it.
And then that's contradicting what you're saying.
Of those people, I am not contradicting them. I'm saying these are the calculations by the United Nations. But how many of those 200 million women are actually asking for it? There is a difference between what the United Nations now.
Listen to that.
Then that's contradicting what you're saying.
How many of those people, I am not contradicting them. I'm saying these are the calculations by the United Nations. But how many of those 200 million women are actually asking for it? There is a difference between what the United Nations now calls the unmet need and the unmet demand.
Correct.
What African women are actually dying
of. When we go back to education, perhaps they're unaware.
Well, it's for someone like yourself, someone so kind and generous from the West to come tell them that what they need is contraception to come out of poverty. Now you give them contraception, and the next day they still don't have work. The following year they still don't have work.
I would really love to discuss this further with you. We're just 10 seconds to go off air, so thank you very much for joining.
Man, oh man. So the devil and his wife are hard at work, as you can imagine. Western birth rates have collapsed and they're still championing for contraception and abortion. I mean, nothing they do will change anything. They're all gonna die anyway. They're all gonna grow old. They're gonna go extinct. The aging population, economies are gonna collapse. Now we as Africans have to do nothing but stay black and stay proud. That brings us to our final topic, the only thing that can retaliate in this war effort is black love. That's right. Black love is the only thing that can meet the enemy's efforts to depopulate us. Faith in the black man, faith in the black woman, faith in each other, faith in our children. Beautiful. We are the ancient people. We are the original people. We are the gods of this planet. We are immortal. They have thrown everything at us to destroy us. They have failed. This too will fail. We will procreate. We will produce black life. For every life that has fallen, we will replenish, spread forth and multiply. Like Sister Wongel said, we will keep going. Matter of fact, give me a moment.
If you are African and you've ever asked yourself what the future looks like, well, I'm here to tell you that the future is very much black. Yeah, the future is black. According to new statistics, Africa's population is meant to double by 2050. And come the year 2100, a third of the world's population will be African. 1/3 of the world's population will be African. So if ever you wondered what the future looks like, the future is black, very much black. If you are African...
That's right. Like I said, family, it's all about black love. Black love is our salvation. Black love is more than just black man, black woman. It is the promise that everything that we have been through, all the lives taken by the hands of the enemy, shall be restored. Stay royal, family. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.